How's everybody doing? Funky bass line. I was thinking of getting a bass guitar. Like, I don't know how to play it at all. But I really love funk music and disco, and there's like a lot of like awesome bass guitar, especially in funk music. A lot of funk in a bass guitar, or a lot of bass guitar and funk music, which I love. So I've thought about getting a bass guitar and just learning for fun, for no other reason. Probably just like one that's super cheap, to be real and honest. But I do love a good funky bass. Cassie, hello. We're having a bit of a slow start. That's okay. I have yet to have a live stream where I'm by myself, luckily. But I'm always prepared to do it alone. See, I like the funky bass on this too. It's not a bass guitar, but I like it. Got an interesting day, or night. It's nighttime. We got an interesting night. A lot of weird, crazy stuff going on. Kind of hard to keep up. Hey Mark, fun news week, huh? Isn't it fun news week every week? Yeah, there's some, I mean, there's like oodles and oodles of stuff to like cover. What's going on with my mic? Anyways. Maybe... I don't know how the mic is going. Should be okay. Microphone. What was I saying? Oh yeah, lots of stuff to choose, you know, in the news and stuff. I was like catching up with like the tariff shit today. And, you know, how we're gonna soon face the effects of Liberty Day. Because the trade war with China just isn't going well, in case anybody has noticed. Or hasn't noticed. I should get this microphone, like, right up to my lips. Nothing is going well, says Cassie. True. I hope everything's going well in y'all's lives as best as possible. I feel like that's slightly inappropriate to say for some reason, considering the circumstances that we're all facing. It's almost becoming, like, inappropriate to say, like, ask how are you casually. Hello, Elise. Since January, seriously. Anyways, feel free to just chit-chat for a minute. We're having a little bit of a slow start, but that's fine. I see people rolling in now. We're just hanging out until, you know, we get a few more people in here, and then we'll get started on our topics. I want to start actually with Judge Dugan from Milwaukee, who just like recently got arrested for some bullshit by the federal whatever bullshit. And then I want to talk about Trump's weird, disgusting. It's disgusting to me. I'll explain more as we get along with it. But like Trump's incentive, $5,000 incentive for people to have babies. I got a bone to pick with that one. I got a connection to make with both of those together, actually, between the bullshit that's going on with immigration and this judge, and even to Trump's wonderful idea, the administration's wonderful idea to incentivize people to have children for $5,000. And then George Santos has been Santos. I did that by accident, but it's actually really appropriate because he is toast. Santos. Sentence Santos. George Santos has been sentenced. I did it again. I don't know why my lips or my teeth just want to see a T. Santos. He's been sentenced. Hello, Mac. So funny. I'm going to put the chat over here in front of me. I'm trying to use my other screens more, but I don't like it. It just seems so far away. I think I just have, like, my side screen over here for the vibes. I just put color on it. It's honestly probably a waste of energy. Max says, Trump is off the rails like a feral ghoul. A lot of people are, honestly. The whole world is. Okay, I think we're done with this music. I'm like, wait a minute, what's that irritating sound? Right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Music. Thank you. We appreciate your efforts to add some vibes, but I would like to speak without that blasting in my ears. All right. Don't forget to like the live stream. And I think we might get started. I don't know. I'm always hesitant because, like, the reason I hesitate is because, like, I'll just start. I'll be like, okay, I'll just get going on the topic. And then, like, a half hour into, like, having started, people will just, like, start rolling in and be like, what did I miss? And then it's like, then I have to, like, hurry and, like, summarize it over again. So I'm trying to wait a little bit more. We need, like, activities to do or fun things or something. I should do something. I've been needing to do something more jazzy with this YouTube channel and live streaming and such for like a long time. But I've decided to go to school, which the semester is almost over. I'm hanging in there. I got to admit, though, I'm so burnt out, I think. But I'm in a good place with my projects right now, especially my sociological research. Why did I pronounce that like that? Sociological research. I'm doing a research project on the efficiency of social media activism. Does it create real world change? Does it not? And also examining via survey attitudes about that through my campus and another local campus, actually a couple of campuses. So I have an actual like survey like sent out, and I'm going to be like analyzing attitudes and like the answers from students about like what they think about social media activism. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it work? Does it not? Is it needed? Is it as efficient as grassroots movements, tactics, and systems? A lot of interesting stuff. I've been like setting everything up, and now at this point I'm in data collecting mode and analysis. It's really fun, actually. You know what? I have been kind of like all over the place a little bit with like my social research class, but I'm really starting to enjoy the process. It's a very scientific process of just like gathering evidence. It's very, what's the word? Why am I drawing a brain blank? Anyways. Should we get started or should we wait a little bit more? Cassie says, let's do it. Thank you, Cassie. I was getting some dead air there. Oop. I lost the live stream. Anybody who comes in late complaining gets banned. There we go. Oh, thank you, Elise, for gifting a membership. And it went to Specs. Specs, you deserve that. Or they get a coloring book. You have to sit at the kids' table. Empirical. Oh my god. Half hour later, I remember the word I was thinking. Yeah. So doing sociological research, like, it's very empirical. There's the whole, like, scientific process to it. You have to develop a theory, a hypothesis. You have to gather evidence. You have to present that. You have to have that peer reviewed, things like that. So I'm learning how you can do that officially, where you submit forms to get it, like, funded, approved by, like, official, like, sociology boards, so that you can get your studies published. It's a very fascinating thing to do. In fact, I love it so much. I've been thinking, like, the last, like, couple of weeks, because there's so much I can do with a degree in sociology, but it's, like, narrowing down specifically what I want to do. And I think I kind of, like, really want to be a researcher, like, specifically, like, a social researcher, like social justice even, especially where, like, my interests are based around movements, things like that. So anyways, my friends, let's see. Let's go to viewing content. And Al Jazeera. I like this publication. So anyways, U.S. Justice Department alleges Judge Hannah Dugan refused to turn over a man that immigration agents showed up to arrest. This is a really, like, weird story because it's like she was a judge overseeing, like, immigration processes, and there's ICE and, like, federal agents, like, posted up, like, pretty much like anal beads up the ass of the courthouse, like, catching people as they come out of the courthouse to arrest them, which they were doing to this guy whose name is, I forget. I saw it earlier. I know the last name starts with an R. But this is a concern, as Elon Musk would say. I hate that every time I think of the word concerning, I now think of Elon Musk and his stupid tweets where that's, like, all he comments with. Concerning. This is concerning, in very serious ways. Yes, allow all, whatever. No, I don't want to sign up right now. But let's read on for a little bit, and I'll keep you along with, like, how I'm piecing things together, because there's a little bit of a relation between this, I feel, and Trump's weird baby thing. I have a point. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, actually. It's one of these theories that I have, or connections that I have, connecting the dots together to form a bigger picture, if you will. I have some thoughts and some concerns. Anyways, federal agents have arrested a Wisconsin judge on the charges of obstructing immigration agents, escalating tensions between President Donald Trump's administration and the judiciary. Is this one of those sanctuary states? Is it? Hold on. No, it's not a sanctuary area. Or is it? It's, Wisconsin is not a Second Amendment sanctuary state. Oh, Second Amendment. I'm confused. Ignore me. Anyways, but so the Trump's administration is coming down on that. The Federal Bureau of Investigations Director Kash Patel said on Friday that the judge was arrested for allegedly helping an undocumented migrant evade federal agents. So, I say, that's just my personal opinion, but I have a lot more to add to that, so don't get your panties in a twist over that comment. Where is my chat? My emotional support chat. Hi, Andy. We're just happy that you come in and say hi, honestly. It really makes our day. Doesn't it, chat? I mean that with sincerity. Anyways, back to this bullcrap. So, in a criminal complaint, the U.S. Department of Justice alleged that Hannah Dugan, a Milwaukee County Circuit judge, so this is like a state-level judge, refused to turn over the man after immigration agents showed up to arrest him in her court on April 18th. They're not mentioning his name, probably for good reason. And she tried to help him evade arrest by allowing him to exit through a jury door. So instead of like him walking out the front of the court where like there was federal agents like ICE ready to like nab this dude, she went through her business with him, her whatever court stuff they were going through, and when it was over, she's like, "Sir, don't go out the front door. Come with me. We're going out the back." And now federally, she's being hammered down on for doing that. Allegedly, obstructing justice or whatever. Official business. I did say emotional support chat. You think I want to look at this stuff and think about these things by myself? I need other people to see this. I need other people here. I need something to bounce off of. Anyways. So what did Patel say? Said, thankfully our agents chased down the perp, undocumented migrant, on foot, and he's been in custody since. The chase down the perp. But they act like he was like holding a machete, like, and a severed head in the other hand. But the judge's obstruction created increasing danger to the public, Patel says. Did it? Did it? Because, I don't know, the way that ICE has been behaving lately, I don't know if we should be trying to put our finger on what's dangerous to the public or not. Anyways, the Justice Department has said that Judge Dugan became visibly angry, when immigration officials arrived to arrest Flores Ruiz in her court, and called the effort absurd. So this lady, like, actually stood up to ICE, like a fucking state judge of a circuit court. It was just like, you know what? Ain't having this. You know what's so weird though? Judges like do fucking bullshit all that. There's so many corrupt judges in many states, and and they do all sorts of fucked up shit. And the FBI turns the other cheek, looks the other way. So now suddenly it's on top of things, or the federal government, Federal Bureau. Funny how the administration picks and chooses when they want to use that and which parts. But to me, this reads as, and I think it's pretty obvious to most people, this is not like a unique take, this looks like intimidation to me. Which definitely interferes and creates an imbalance in our system of checks and balances. Mark says, according to the criminal complaint, Dugan is accused of obstructing or impeding proceedings before a federal department or agency, concealing an individual to prevent his discovery and arrest. FBI Director Kash Patel stated in a now deleted post that Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the individual to be arrested in her courtroom. Did she, though? Yeah, so that's deleted. But this is saying, like, she just told him to, like, go out the back door. Oh, he was being cleared of petty charges. That makes sense. I'm wondering if he was doing... Okay, so he's being cleared of petty charges. But ICE was out there, like, ready. How convenient. Anyways, Dugan appeared briefly at federal court in Milwaukee to face charges of obstructing proceeding and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. Records show she was released and is scheduled to enter a plea on May 15th. A crowd formed outside the court. This happened today, by the way, chanting "Free the judge now." Dugan left the court through a side door following the hearing and was driven away in a black SUV without comment. I hope she fights the hell out of this. I totally do. I totally hope she fights this with the FBI is trying to do intimidation. Like, this would be just the start. Because if they get away with this, like, what are they going to do to other judges that are, like, not doing precisely what they want? I mean, having somebody go out the back door, I don't know if that's, like, specifically obstruction. I mean, they could have had somebody, like, posted out the back, I guess, if they were really interested in that. Like, is that really so wrong? Like, anyways. Immigration and legal rights advocates have said subjecting civic spaces such as courts to immigration enforcement operations could increase hesitation among people without legal status to take part in activities such as testifying in court about crimes. I mean, because ultimately there's no interest in improving the immigration system. Absolutely not. I mean, it's just being completely squashed. Which will come in together. No one is above the law, Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote on social media, including you. The Trump administration has been locked in an escalating confrontation with federal judges as several have issued rulings that limit its aggressive use of presidential power in immigration and other matters. State courts have played a less significant role in that dispute. Okay. Yeah, how funny. All this garb about, like, all this excuse of, like, we want to give rights back to states. And now you're pulling this stuff. The administration is so hypocritical. Anyways, after making his announcement on social media, Patel deleted the post, which he had made before the case against Dugan was sealed in federal court. He later wrote in another social media post on the case, Director Patel's statements shows that Trump's FBI is more concerned about weaponizing federal law enforcement, punishing people without due process, and intimidating anybody who opposes these policies than they are with seeking justice, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley said in a statement. Yeah. I have to agree. Trump launched a sweeping immigration crackdown after taking office in January, and the Justice Department has directed federal prosecutors to pursue criminal cases against local officials who interfere with the effort. Such resistance was widespread during Trump's first 2017 to 2021 term in office. Leon Fresco, an immigration lawyer, told Al Jazeera that arresting a judge in these circumstances was very rare. You bet your ass it's very rare. Hitlerian, might I say? This is only the second time this has happened, he said. It is now going to be a matter of conflict of laws. Does the state judge have a point that ICE was thwarting the ability of the state judge to have criminal court hearings? Or does ICE have a point that the state judge was thwarting ICE's ability to engage in immigration enforcement, he said. The latter. Oh no, the first one. Sorry. The opposite. I think this is just the beginning rusings of intimidation of the court system. We have courts for a reason. The court system was established for a reason. I mean, I'm literally in a history class for like the early foundation of America. Like, they did that for a reason because when they proposed a federal government, the colonies were shitting themselves. That's where you had the whole split between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. The Anti-Federalists were like, excuse me? This kind of sounds like a new reinvented like monarchy. We don't know about this. So they're like, okay, let's branch it out. Got all these things that check each other. What's really funny about like, because the last time I really studied like early American history was what, grade school, and then I have read like some of that Howard Zinn book. But then it's like studying more of this. It's like the foundation of America was not. I mean, obviously was not pretty, but it's like it wasn't like they defeated the British and they're like, all right, now we're happy. Like, it just continued to be terrible for everyone. It's just constantly terrible, and it never got better, and it still hasn't gotten better. There was like, it's like, make America great again. It's like, when? When? It's honestly never been great. It's never been perfectly balanced and everyone's having a swell time. Like, we everything has always sucked. I mean, I'm saying that as throwing that out there as a general vibe. I'm sure you could probably pick out like tiny moments in times where like things were great, but it's like overall, it's like, does it last? No. Let's see. What does this say? Does this repeat everything we just like? Wait. Start over.
US President Donald Trump's decision to deport hundreds of migrants to a high-security prison in El Salvador has triggered accusations of human rights violations, lack of due process, and...
That's something we haven't touched, God, because I'm like so busy doing schoolwork. Like, I barely have time to stream. That's something that's been going on recently that we have not touched on, is like the very like straight up black bagging of people and sending them off. Mark, let's just keep reinventing monarchy and colonialism and serfdom. Sounds fun to me. It's great. I mean, we already got like stupid tariff shit going on. I was gonna say turf. Dude, we're headed back to like peasants and stuff. What do they call it? Like agrarian or something?
Even a constitutional crisis. So could Trump go even further and deport US citizens as he's threatened to do? And how is his policy shaped by the relationship he has with El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, the self-proclaimed world's coolest dictator who was warmly received in the Oval Office last week? Joining me to discuss this is Jose Olivares, freelance investigative journalist and contributor to DropSite and The Guardian, and Naina Gupta, policy director at the American Immigration Council. Thank you both. Let me start with you, Jose. You've reported extensively on El Salvador, and President Bukele has been in office for what now, 6 years, since 2019. What do you make of this relationship, this bromance and collaboration and closeness with Donald Trump?
Well, we've seen a significant shift from the relationship that the Biden administration had with Bukele to now the Trump administration. So when Bukele stepped into office in 2019, he entered a country that was ravaged by violence by the gangs in Central America. But very quickly, we started to see that there was a reduction in violence in the country. And this was later revealed that it was due to a political pact that he made with MS-13 and other gangs in the country. Now, as part of this deal, Bukele administration officials were entering prisons in El Salvador and meeting with top MS-13 leaders. And during these negotiations, they kind of came to an agreement in which MS-13 could keep some territorial control, some financial incentives were given to them by the Bukele administration. And most importantly, some of the leaders of the Rampla Nacional, of the board of directors of the organization, were released from prison. In exchange, MS-13 agreed to reduce the number of public murders that were taking place in El Salvador. But also what's most significant about this pact is that MS-13 agreed to mobilize their forces in anticipation for the 2021 legislative elections in El Salvador. And they mobilized their forces to vote for Bukele's political.
I thought this was going to be more about the judge. That's fine. We'll put a bookmark in that. I don't know. Very suspicious. I feel like there's a connection here with this, like, pressuring of our judges when it comes to matters of immigration, because it's just such a hot topic and such a, like, a strong thing going on. Although I believe Biden did deport a fuck ton of immigrants last year, but Trump just got started, so I'm not sure how much he's deported so far, but that's definitely getting harsher force applied with it, if you know what I mean. So, just moving on over to this. Honestly, I just can't even articulate the words in any known language how just kind of like gross this feels to me. But anyways, the administration is proposing an incentive to pay people $5,000 if they have a baby, like American citizens. And that's just like, first of all, that's not enough money. In this economy, 5,000, that's a fucking like slap in the face. Like, what's that gonna do? Should be 5,000 a month for up until they're 18? How about that? Let's listen to our favorite person, JD Vance, for the March of Life, saying he wants more babies. Ladies, listen to JD Vance.
Your Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Oh, don't even get me. So Cassie says, how about fix the fucking healthcare system as an incentive to have kids? Don't even get me started, because I can trigger you even further with, like, why are we cutting all these, like, programs to take care of kids, like daycare programs and stuff? Like, why are we doing that? Why is the economy, like, so terrible? Like, why are people, like, not able to, like, this is just, like, to me, the beginnings of just, like, bringing everybody back to, like, the traditional family model. Mark says, Trump's cold tiny hand will give you $5,000 of the $80,000 per year you need for parenting per child. Yes. $5,000, people. That just wouldn't. No, that's not a fuck enough. 5 million, maybe. I don't know. Also, the Pope just recently passed away, and I love this joke about it like being JD Vance's fault because like just previous, like he shook the Pope's hand.
Let me say thank you. Good afternoon, marchers. Thank you for having me. And it is an honor to be standing with you here today for life. We are proud to march with you. And yes, we will be back next year.
Also, cutting like school lunch programs and cutting like at the education system and doing all that, cutting daycare programs, cutting like school funding, like cutting like free lunch programs, making it like impossible to like for like one single parent to like work at the house while the other one takes care of kids. I mean, like, yes, the population is declining, but there's like reasons for that, like social and economic reasons for why the population is declining. The birth rate, I mean. I think the population would be fine if we would improve our immigration system. You see where I'm going here? Like how I'm starting to connect like the dots together. Population would be fine if we improved our immigration system, but we're not doing that. We're going the other way. We're sending all the immigrants out and we're incentivizing births in the country. This is like nativism on the rise.
The excitement, the passion, the unwavering conviction that every single person here on the National Mall clearly feels. It is deeply moving to me and means more to President Trump and I than I could possibly say. For over a half century, this march has united tens of thousands of Americans from all walks of life to rally for the cause of...
What is the March of Life? March of Life is an annual demonstration held in Washington, D.C. on a round anniversary of the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision. It's the world's largest pro-life demonstration. I mean, I kind of gathered from the name. I just wanted to be clear. With tens of thousands of participants gathering to advocate against abortion and for the procreation of unborn children. And they were only paying $5,000? This is dystopian as hell. What the forced birth rally? Ugh. They're going to ban abortion. They're going to ban contraceptives. They're going to get rid of all the immigrants. They're going to, like, incentivize, like, births. And frankly, while we're connecting all these dots, why don't we just go ahead and throw in there, because I feel like they're saying it without saying it verbatim or saying it directly. This has got to be a slow, sure way for them, particularly to, how do I word this? This is like a way for them to start getting more, not just like more births specifically from American citizens, but like more specifically more white kids, like more white births. I feel like this is like the end of, and this is not like unique, right? These are dots other people are putting together too, with the way things are going. And I don't think it's hyperbolic at all, but this is like some Aryan race building, like some fucking genetic hygiene shit in the starts. Because what's next? They're going to start forcibly like fixing the people they don't want. I mean, already, like forcibly, what's the word? When you fix somebody. When you fix them up like a cat or a dog. I don't even know. But when you do that, like forcibly on somebody, I mean, they could go that way too on the people that they particularly don't want procreating. Which leads me to add to that idea by the recent registry bullshit, the autism registry, to start registering autistic people. Yeah, RFK Jr.'s listing and collecting data of autistic people. And now, this is gonna, I don't know. Because, look, I'll tell you what. One of the first things in Nazi Germany they did is start rounding up all the disabled people. Like, very specifically. It was like people with like epilepsy. It was people with schizophrenia. And at the time, because they didn't know what autism was, it would have been that too. But all the mentally disabled people, schizophrenia, epilepsy, people who are blind or deaf, people with intellectual disabilities, people with chronic alcoholism, like if you like were like a drunk and like you had that hereditary in your family, like they'd round you up to neutered, spayed, sterilization. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, they would sterilize them or just like straight up end them. And it wasn't just like people who were like alcoholics as well. It was like just people who were too poor, because back then they believed that like in that whole eugenics, like science, pseudoscience bullshit, they thought poverty was like an inherited thing. Like people who were quote unquote too lazy or just like not contributing to society. So it's like, when we get this whole registry of like autistic people and we start getting this simultaneously with this like birth incentive from like pro-life stuff, which a lot of pro-life movements kind of overlap with like the really bad autism movements, the ones where they lean on sort of methods of eugenics where they're thinking like this is like where autism is like a plague, and not specifically a plague, but just like a burden and a problem that needs to be solved. The way they think to solve that is with eugenics. Are these connections making sense to you all, where I'm seeing where this country is going? Clamping down on immigration, getting rid of the immigrants, banning starting to ban abortion, birth control, all contraceptives, incentivizing birth to people. And honestly, this would be like, for people taking it up on this would be people that are able to have kids. Because $5,000 isn't going to be enough for people who are struggling paycheck to paycheck. Like, that's not enough to incentivize them to do that. So what, you have like the well stabilized, like traditional white Christian family model who will do this, and it's going to incentivize, hello, more white people, more white Christians. This is what isn't connecting dots fun? Isn't seeing patterns fun? Isn't pattern recognition a joy? RFK's registries merit only an avalanche of nope. Yeah, I'm very concerned about that. We also have trans people unable to like be their actual identity on their passports. There's just all these little things everywhere, and it's all coming to the same, like everything's its own little, starting at its own little spot, like its own little fire, but it's all gonna come together on one big, great big fucking nasty ass fascist fire. God, when I'm old, I'm gonna be just like some old crotchety like bitch with like a bunch of like just really like snooty to fascist if they come to my house, you know. I'm not going to offer them any tea. And they're going to be inspecting my place because I'm going to be harboring, like, and, like, secretly hiding a shitload of gays, like, in my basement. Like, this is my future. There's going to be gays in my cellar and fascists, like, bothering me. I'll just beat them with my cane. Mark says, do not comply with anything launched by an anti-vaxxer who is almost single-handedly responsible for a resurgence of measles. I mean, when you think about it, allowing, like, diseases and, like, viruses to come back, like, that would be a great way to get rid of, like, poor population. Oh, where were we?
Life
Vance.
in our nation. It is the single largest gathering in the world to celebrate our movement. The victories we've fought so hard for, and yes, the victories
The
yet
More
to come.
White Children movement.
And I want to personally welcome all of you who have traveled from far and wide to our nation's capital. Thank you for your dedication, and it is an incredible crowd, and it's great to see you today. You know, on Monday, we were forced to move all of the inauguration events indoors because of the bitter cold, and it was cold. But you guys, and it's cold today, here you are outside in an especially frigid January. And I don't think I've ever seen such a joyful crowd out here, particularly during this time of year. Now, as you all know, the event theme this year is life, why we march. And there are obvious answers to the implicit question.
He looks like a garden gnome. Like his name should be like Mr. Winklebottom or something. He looks like Chucky. I don't know. He just gives me like a garden gnome vibe to me, or like one of Santa's elves.
It poses.
Like from the claymation.
We march to protect the unborn. We march to proclaim and live out the sacred truth that every single child is a miracle and a gift from God.
There's that heavy, like, religious connotation, that heavy religious reasoning there. That's at the heart of this, is using religious explanation for their reasonings, their choices, and their movement. Like the original Specs. He looks like Chucky, but like original before it got scary. He does. Cassie, then give them free lunch. Yeah. If every child is a miracle and a gift from God, why are you not feeding the children? Every child is a miracle and a gift from God, unless they're poor or brown or black. Then screw them. They're a child from Satan.
Now, each time Usha and I welcomed our own children into the world, we saw firsthand the indescribable beauty of new life. And yes, as you can see, sometimes the behavioral challenges that we had on Monday, but they were good. They were good. And watching all three of our kids grow, learn, and become who they are today has been the single greatest blessing of our lives. Now,
They have a garbage pail kid for a VP.
every parent here knows that feeling, that awe at a newborn child. It is our responsibility to cherish and to protect it. But thinking about the question of why we march, there are also some subtler, but equally more important answers to that question that I want to reflect on today. Now, the task of our movement is to protect innocent life. It's to defend the unborn, and it's also to be pro-family and pro-life in the fullest sense of that word possible.
Yep. Here we go. First we had the religious reasoning, and now we have the bringing down to the traditional nuclear family model.
Now, across my own lifetime, I can't tell you the number of friends and other acquaintances I've had who, facing a pregnancy or the prospect of one, react not with joy but with concern.
Okay, we're getting the personal narration here too, because he's throwing in his own, experiences. We're getting the pathos and ethos of this.
They wonder how can they afford it.
It's like a recipe. You need all these elements.
What will it mean for their education, their career, their relationship, or their family? And I know how many of you in this crowd have devoted immeasurable time and resources to help answer those questions and to lend a hand to young people facing a moment of desperation. But by and large, our society, our country, has not yet stepped up in the way you have. And our government certainly has failed in that important responsibility. We failed a generation not only by permitting a culture of abortion on demand, but also by neglecting to help young parents achieve
a whole ass culture of abortion. Yeah, y'all. Does anybody know what our traditions are? Does anybody know what the traditions are? Like, do we have parties and pass around Plan Bs? Like, what's going on? What do we mean abortion culture? I love it when they try to kind of like mimic like leftist language and make shit up, but only it just doesn't make sense. California abortion culture, right? Get an abortion, grab a burrito, go hang out on the beach.
The ingredients they need to live a happy and meaningful life. A culture of radical individualism took root. One where the responsibilities and joys of family life were seen as obstacles to overcome, not as personal fulfillment or personal blessings. Our society has...
Okay, what about like the hordes of people who did not experience their family life as a personal blessing? Anybody else in the chat was not personally blessed with their traditional family? Raise your hand. I was not personally blessed, thank you. It was rather hellish. I am in therapy now for it.
Has failed to recognize the obligation that one generation has to another is a core part of living in a society to begin with. So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America.
You hear that, ladies? JD Vance wants more babies. You know what's so creepy? He's basically, like, that's just in a really roundabout, like, beating about the bush. He's talking about beating the bush. Getting the bush beat. Getting your bush beat. Like, it's straight up as just, like, pretty much just saying, like, I want you all to fuck more. Oh! Then go have some babies, JD, right? Then go get pregnant, Vance. Like... does anybody else just feel like this is gross? Like, this is just gross, and I still can't get over $5,000. That is just not fucking enough. That is so capitalistic. Like, you know, like Betty Sue and Joe Schmo, who are married, are just like they're like middle class or upper class even. We can make a boat payment with that. I just imagine like a family that's cash poor, like taking up on that. Yeah, Elon is working on it. Yeah, between this and like Elon's whole like wanting people to procreate more. This is like some replacement theory shit. Like all these people are afraid of like the great replacement, you know, that like all white people are going to be bred out eventually. So what if they are? Who gives a shit? I mean, especially from a Neogenian perspective, like these are just avatars. Like, who cares? If that's the way genetically things naturally go, like, what do I care? I personally don't give a shit.
I want more happy children in our country. And I want...
Okay, if you want more happy kids in this country, how about you go back to funding education? How about you give people, what is it? Financial relief, stimulus to families who are in need, who have, you know, working parents that are struggling. How about you do that? Instead of incentivizing people to have more babies, why don't you help the fucking ones that are already here? Because it's like the moment those kids are born, it's like there's no programs available to take care of those kids. Yeah, give required maternity leave. What about maternity leave? There's so many fucking things. And it's just, they're just like, you know what? We are facing a crisis. You know what we need? We need to fuck more. Like, oh
and I want
God.
beautiful young men and women who are eager to welcome them into the world and eager to raise them.
I want yous young kids to start fucking.
And it is the task of our government to make it easier for young moms and dads to afford to have kids, to bring them into the world, and to welcome them as the blessings that we know they are here at the March for Life.
I'm just imagining a future where condoms are illegal.
Now, it should be easier to raise a family, easier to find a good job, easier to build a home, to raise that family in, easier to save up and purchase a good stroller, a crib for a nursery. We need a culture that celebrates life at all stages, one that recognizes and truly believes that the benchmark of national success is not our GDP number or our stock market, but whether people feel that they can raise thriving and healthy families in our country. And that brings me back to where we stand today. Earlier this week, President Donald J. Trump stood in the Capitol Rotunda and took the oath of office, becoming not just the 45th, but now the 47th President of the United States. And I know all of you helped.
Thanks.
With the inauguration on Monday, our country faces the return of the most pro-family, most pro-life American president of our lifetimes. Now, this is the man who delivered on his promise.
Yeah, at least it's like if they really wanted more children born, they would implement a universal basic income or something similar and make sure every child has food, clean water, shelter, healthcare, and education for free. I just turned in an essay to my writing class arguing for universal basic income and looking up like American movement. There's a Mayors for, what is it? Mayors for something income. Mayors for guaranteed income. Yes, Mayors for guaranteed income is like a nationwide thing, and it's if you can look it up and see if your local mayor is a part of it, and if not, then you can certainly contact them and ask them about this if you're passionate about this sort of thing. So Mayors for guaranteed income, great organization. but I am a big proponent of guaranteed income. All right, back to
of ending Roe,
pants.
giving us a monumental, earth-shattering decision in Dobbs. The man who appointed hundreds of
Yeah, but no, like back to the $5,000. That really just like isn't enough. Just once, that's so silly. Like it should be $5,000 a month.
pro-life judges
You really want to
dedicated to
incentivize
defending the
people.
constitutional liberties of all Americans. And the man who supported pro-family policies like doubling the child tax credit, which happened during his first administration and which we're going to do so much more on in the second administration. Now he's back, and we're going to do it again. Now, yesterday, President Trump issued a strong endorsement of the Born Alive Abortion Act, ensuring that those babies who survived botched abortions enjoy the equal protection under law, which is the obligation of every citizen to enjoy in this country. With his return to office, no longer will the federal government direct FBI raids on the homes of people like Mark Houck and other Catholic and Christian activists who are fighting for the
See, this is what I'm talking about when they like pick and choose what they want, when they like and dislike the FBI. Like they constantly complain about it. They're like they want to get rid of all that shit, and then it's like at the same time they're like, oh, but we need
born
ICE.
every single day. And no longer will our government throw pro-life protesters and activists, elderly, grandparents, or anybody else in prison. It stopped on Monday, and we're not going to let it come back to this country. Instead, and I know you all saw the news, the 47th president has already issued pardons to those unjustly imprisoned.
The nerve of this man talking about who and who isn't unjustly imprisoned.
And I want to be clear
Right, when you're black-bagging people.
that this administration
speaking the
stands
truth.
by you, we stand with you, and most importantly, we stand with the most vulnerable and the basic principle that people exercising the right to protest on behalf of the most vulnerable should never have the government go after them ever again. Now, the crowd assembled here in this incredible national mall provides an extraordinary example for our nation. You donate to diaper banks, you help find housing for those in need, you help fund the crisis pregnancy centers that give help to young women and young men in a time of crisis. You guys are the beating heart of the pro-life movement, and you've saved many lives already, and you're going to save more again. You being here this very March is a reminder of the incredible strength and unity of the pro-life movement, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for marching here today.
Anytime any one of these people first places their hands on their chest, I'm like, oh God, are we gonna get the Zeke again?
And most importantly, in your works, you remind us that the March for Life is not just a single event that happens on a frigid January day. The March for Life is the work of the pro-life movement every single day from this point forward.
Great.
Now, it is a lifelong call to action, a moment in time, but every single day that you guys do what you do, from supporting young moms and dads to fighting for the unborn to working with our legislatures at the state and federal level, you make it possible for us to stand here and say that America is fundamentally a pro-baby, a pro-life, and a pro-family country. Now, I hesitate to give you all advice because I can see there are young and old people who have been in the pro-life movement, some of you for longer than I've even been alive, and I'm grateful to you. But if I can offer one piece of advice, it's a piece of advice born out of my own experience. There was a point when I would get frustrated with people who didn't see what we saw. I would get frustrated that people could look at a picture of a baby on an ultrasound and see not a human being, but just a clump of cells.
Oh,
but one of the things that being a father has taught me, and one of the things that being in politics has taught me over the last couple of years, is that it is a blessing to know the truth, and the truth is that unborn life is worthy of protection.
Okay, but what about... See, if it wasn't for my bizarre, like, if it wasn't for my whole, like, super strong will to, like, survive this shit and just, like, keep going and trying to better myself every day, like, if I didn't have that, I would be so drunk every day. Ugh.
So please go forth, not with frustration, but with joy.
Go forth, not with frustration, but with frothy loins.
We are joyful to march for life. We are joyful to know that.
All right, everybody get fucking.
Of giving up to $5,000 to mothers to help increase birth rates.
Mr. President, there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some kind of bonus so that they have
Were you considering that? Or? Sounds like a good idea to me.
Maggie Anders is the host of Undoctrination and a content creator for the Foundation for Economic Education. She joins me now. Maggie, what do you think? Is a $5,000 incentive a good idea for people to have kids?
Well, Todd, thank you so much for having me this morning. While I wholeheartedly agree with the Trump administration that America is facing a fertility epidemic, I don't think a $5,000 baby bonus is really going to cut it. You know, some estimates put the average cost
Even Fox News is like,
of raising a child in America at $23,000. By the time that child is 18, that's $414,000, not accounting for inflation or the cost of college tuition. Americans are facing a cost of living crisis. We're tired of being taxed to death, and we're tired of our dollar being devalued through wasteful government spending programs and Federal Reserve money printing. And I think this is going to make that problem worse.
Yeah, Maggie, I agree with your top line on this. Kudos to the president for tackling this issue because it is a big deal. Look at these stats. The 2024 fertility rate, that's just last year, remains well behind the rate required to replace.
okay, but they're like, there's a difference, like when you're just talking the general population of the United States versus like the birth rate. Like our population, as far as like supporting an economy, would be fine if we would just improve the immigration system. I mean, if this is what this is about, but no, I mean, like, they can't do that. They don't want to use immigration as a solution to the population problem in supporting an economy. They don't want to do that at all. They want to go this weird kind of Hitlerian route where it's like, no, we just want to increase the amount of, like, white Christian babies. Jesus Christ.
The current population. So something needs to be done. What would you say?
Marks, is anybody reading or watching The Handmaid's Tale? I've actually never seen that. I've never seen that before.
Suggest to the president to fix that problem?
Absolutely. So I think this crisis is both financial and cultural. So first, financially, I think we need to lower the tax burden on most Americans, as well as deregulate key industries that are driving up that cost of having a child. So housing.
Uh-oh, lady. That's them's woke words. That's name's communism words.
And then as far as cultural, I think we need to look at success stories. Israel is one of the few developed countries that has an above replacement fertility rate. And they're doing something very differently.
Oh yeah, like we really want to look at Israel right now.
One of those things is that the entire family unit is involved in raising a child, and Israelis often see childbirth as something more important than just immediate satisfaction, right? So they want to pass down traditions, they want to extend their lineage, and I don't know if Americans are thinking long term about that. Unfortunately, politics is downstream from culture, so if we want to change that point, that's something that has to start with individuals.
Let's drill down on culture for a second. A 2024 poll reveals the main reasons people under 50 are not having kids. They just don't want to, 57%. They want to focus on other.
That's not entirely true, and I call bullshit. Hold on. I call bullshit on that. Like, it's probably true in a certain way, but it's not saying why. Okay, they just don't want to. No, there's got to be a why there. Desire to focus on career or personal interests? Is that so bad? Concerns about the state of the world? I mean, that's fine. I'm not having kids right now because of that shit. Financial constraints. Environmental concerns, including climate change. Let's see. Younger people want to focus on other things like their career. Why would young people want to focus on their career more? Gee, because it's expensive to have a fucking family? That's
other things,
why
44%. Concerns with the world, can't afford to. Concerns about the environment. This is admittedly a very biased question here, but how do we convince people that the joys of having kids and being out late last night at my oldest first T-ball game ever?
Oh my gosh, you don't. You don't. And this is this weird, like, societal, like, expectation thing that we have here in America that they're trying so hard to just make a cultural, like, permanence of, like, you should want to have kids. But the reality is there's gonna be people out there who just, they really don't want kids. They don't want to have children. Why are we living, why are we creating this reality in which we have to question that as if it's wrong?
Outweigh those concerns that people have.
Also, people who don't want kids aren't just automatically partying and staying out late all the time. Like, people can have other pursuits, like academic pursuits or something like that, or something more disciplined. Like, it doesn't always have to equate to, like, well, if you're not having kids, then you're out hoeing about. Like, and even if somebody was doing that, I think they have a fucking God-given right to be a hoe about. I fucking support that. I support hoeing. Susan says, many people don't want kids. The admin is concerned because they want more white kids. Yeah, that was, like, Susan, you missed my whole, like, connecting the dots with everything. I'm like, this is all about, like, just having more white kids. You missed my thing. But you summarized it in one sentence.
Absolutely. So I think one problem a lot of Americans have is this high time preference. We want to chase immediate satisfaction, like traveling or going out to eat at restaurants. One of the problems in America is that since 1963, when our fertility rate was at its highest, the family unit has changed so much. So both mom and dad are often going into the office and they're spending very few hours with their children. And that can be very stressful and isolating. And it's a huge burden to take on. So one thing I think a lot of people are really asking for is to have that village to come behind them and support them. And so for a lot of the viewers listening in today, if you have adult children, one thing you can do is be involved in your grandchildren's life and support them that way.
I would just also add, instead of using that money as a bonus, maybe put that money into lowering the cost of fertility, because there are people out there who desperately want children, who are having trouble. That money could help them and would really alleviate this problem as well. Maggie Anders, thank you.
I think I've had enough of that. Ugh. I don't even want to reiterate my point. I think we've made it enough. Like, everything between this whole FBI aggressively, like, pressuring state judges, like, and, like, catching undocumented immigrants right outside courthouses, to incentivizing having babies. I mean, like I said, there is, like, studies that show, like, to fix our, like, if we're having a population problem that cannot sustain an economy, like, immigration is the solution. You bring in young working immigrants in. You set them up. But no, we're going the opposite of that, because no, we don't want that. We don't want to just generally increase the population. This administration doesn't want to do that. They want to increase it with their chosen population. This is some Hitlerian Aryan race shit. I wish that was hyperbolic of me to say. Like, I wish that was hyperbole. But it's not. Like, we're going there. Makes me sick. Anyways, here's a little bit of good news to end the night with. We won't spend, because I think we're almost like an hour and a half. So let's just wrap up with George Santos, because he's fucking toast. All right, ex-Congressman George Santos sentenced to 87 months in prison for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. This is straight from the United States Attorney's Office. This is a lot to read. Actually, it's not so bad. Let's see. Former Congressman George Anthony DeVolder Santos was sentenced today by United States District Judge Joanna Sabert at a federal courthouse in Central Islip to 87 months in prison for committing wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. As part of the sentence, Santos was ordered to pay restitution to his victims that in the amount of, that's a whole lot of fucking money. Let's see. John J. Durham, United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. Matthew R. Gelato, I don't know. Head Department of Justice Criminal Division, and all these other people announced the sentence, saying today, who is saying this? Attorney Durham. Okay, so today George Santos was finally held accountable for the mountain of lies, theft, and fraud he perpetuated. Yeah, it's about time. Somebody did. At least we have a tiny bit of hope here. A little bit of payback now. A little bit for us. So, for the defendant, it was Judgment Day, and for his many victims, including campaign donors, political parties, government agencies, elected bodies, his own family members, and his constituents, it is justice. Says Attorney Durham to Mr. Santos and other dishonest individuals of that ilk who lie, steal identities, and commit frauds to get elected to public office. This prosecution, oh my gosh, words, Jan, speaks to the truth that my office is committed to aggressively rooting out public corruption, and that the public officials who criminally abuse our electoral process will end up in a federal prison. You go, girl. So Mr. Durham expresses his appreciation to the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Inspector General and the New York State Department of Labor for their assistance. FBI Assistant Director Charge Rhea stated today the former United States Congressman George Santos is held accountable for his repeated criminal dishonesty facing his election campaign with ill-obtained funds, stealing COVID unemployment benefits, and providing materially false information in his financial disclosure. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Because my eyes are getting old and I should probably stop wearing sunglasses while I stream. But hey, why do that? Because it looks cool. Where was I? Anyway, Santos abused his authority to garner illicit donations and campaign support, ultimately betraying the public's trust and violating our democratic systems. May today's sentencing emphasized the FBI's continued commitment to dismantling any fraudulent scheme designed to unlawfully benefit those in positions of power. Could you do it a little bit more, please? Instead of, but not like people like the judge lady that we covered earlier. See, I want to pick and choose what the FBI does too. I think we should be able to do that, just like Trump does. George Santos blatantly disregarded campaign finance laws and abused the trust of his constituents and contributors. While he may have made a mockery of his position in public office, today's sentencing is justice for those who he has wronged. CI New York proudly worked with the Eastern District of New York, the FBI, and Nassau County's DA's office to ensure that Santos faces the consequences of his years of deception, stated IRSCI New York Special Agent. George Santos spent his brief career in public service conning his donors and constituents until the deceit caught up with him and he was exposed as an opportunist and a fraud. Today's lengthy prison sentence is just an ending for a weaver of lies who believed he was above the law. See, if only we could have this, but just replace the name. You know where I'm going with that? Wouldn't that be a better thing to read? So people just like pretty much saying the same thing about him. And this is going all the details of all the other stuff. I think I'm getting tired. We've been at this for an hour and a half. I think I'm ready to end it up. But I do like this. This is nice. Fuck Santos. It's funny that we just covered him. And I was thinking like, wow, he's kind of like lost relevancy. And now he's back up at it again. But he's going to be put away for a long time. Long time. All right, my friends, I think I've had enough for today. That's enough looking at the horrible hells of this world, the horrible Hitlerian hells, as I'm calling it today. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you all to the moderators. Philip, Susan, thank you so much for coming. Elise, Mark, and Cassie. That's our full house of moderators, always coming out in here, hanging out and making sure we're A-okay. Our moderators are awesome. And let's see. Yes, expect live streaming to be random. I am in the last few weeks of this semester for school, and I'm in like the finals zone, the zone for finals. So it's going to be kind of sporadic. I might, so just play it by ear. If I stream on a Friday, great. If not, like, don't worry. We'll get back to it soon enough. Soon enough. Oh, Elise, don't go cry. Don't cry. Or cry. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you how to cope. But anyways, thank you all so much for coming. It was good to see you. And hopefully we'll see you next week. If not, don't worry. Like, we'll be back at it soon enough. And once these few weeks are over and the semester's done, I will have officially completed my whole first year of college. So an entire year of college in my first year of college, which will be exciting. Good night, everybody. Do we have some outro music? Do we need outro music? No, we don't need outro music this time. No outro music this time. Good night, everybody. Take care. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, we'll see you later. Take care.